Now, if you guys are anything like me, alcohol was the one thing that was stopping me from really achieving the things that I wanted to achieve in my life. It was stopping me from traveling. It was stopping me from building my business and getting success in any kind of career. It was stopping me from stepping up in a relationship. It was stopping me from getting that peak energy and getting my fitness to where I think it should be. And really, it was the one thing that I knew that if I got rid of it, then I could just do so much more with my life. I could do so much more. So in this video, I actually want to talk to you about how stopping drinking can help you rewire your brain for success. Because once you stop drinking, you remove something that really does absolutely nothing for you. Yet there is so much to gain on the other side of getting rid of it. So you guys are gonna love this video. I've got 7 key points to make that I think is gonna really motivate and inspire you and really help you go towards that next level, go towards what's next. Now, very quickly, guys, before we get into it, if you do want my help stopping drinking and you want to go through the Sober Clear program and go through this first principles approach, then make sure to click the link in the description. There'll be a short video for you to watch that explains the Sober Clear program, how we work with people and so on. Then you'll be able to book a call to see if the Sober Clear program is something that may be of interest to you. So before I talk about how quitting drinking rewires your brain, it's important to talk about the approach. Now, if stopping drinking is stopping you from achieving what you want to in life, then the approach that you use to stop drinking is very important. Now, for me, I tried willpower, I tried AA meetings, I tried a lot of things. And whilst I got some success with these things, I always felt like I was missing out on something. So it kind of meant that I'm not saying that things were bad, right? I'm not saying that when I went to AA and when I used willpower and actually stopped drinking during those periods, that things weren't a hell of a lot better. They were just night and day, right? Even though I was using these techniques that I didn't get long-lasting success, I'm not saying that these techniques are completely flawed and that you can't have success with them, because you clearly can. There are plenty of people that go use willpower, use therapy, and they get success with it. And I did as well. But the problem is that I always felt like I was giving something up. I always felt like I was missing out on something. So I'd avoid certain places, I'd avoid certain occasions, and I still wasn't living life in the way that I wanted to. Because the way that I wanted to live my life was I wanted to remove alcohol and I wanted to go full steam ahead. But because I had to go to AA meetings, because sometimes I'd have to resist alcohol and avoid certain things, I still didn't feel like I could push things the way that I wanted to. So what I did instead was I focused on building a new paradigm. I focused on reframing the way that I viewed alcohol. I focused on being able to see it for what it was. Once I was able to do that successfully, the desire to drink disappeared, and I used this mental model that I speak about all the time called first principles thinking, which means that you do a lot of introspection, you do a lot of reflection, and you really look within and figure out why you think this alcohol is giving you something. You know, asking yourself, why do you think there's something to gain from drinking? And then it's dismantling these beliefs that you've got and building a new paradigm. And really, this is part of the rewiring process. Now, we will touch on other areas of rewiring in a minute, but I really think that this is where it starts. It starts with rewiring the way that you view alcohol. So now we've got that out of the way, let's move on. So the second point that I want to make is that when you stop drinking, you are removing, in a sense, a type of short-term gratification. Now, Brian Tracy says that successful people are addicted to long-term gratification. Unsuccessful people are addicted to short-term gratification. And this can be the same in every area of life, right? The short-term gratification of eating a cheesecake versus the long-term gratification of being fit and healthy and making good decisions on a daily basis so you are in a good physical shape, right? There's the short-term gratification, there's a long-term gratification. When you stop drinking, you're removing a bit of short-term gratification, because when you remove alcohol, you are removing something that relieves withdrawal. Now, if we think of the reason why somebody drinks, well, what they do is they come home after a hard day of work, they drink, they wake up in the morning hungover, they go to work again, and they get home and they can't relax. They feel like something's not quite right. They feel a bit agitated, a bit angst. And what's the quickest way to relieve that feeling of withdrawal, that craving? Well, the quickest and easiest way is to have a drink. It just feeds this addiction to short-term gratification. Now, I'm not saying that you are unsuccessful if you drink. I'm not saying that you can't go towards long-term goals and you can't work on big projects and have long-term gratification in your life. But when you remove this kind of instant gratification of removing this craving, then it just unlocks another level. And this spills into different areas of your life. You know, not taking that short-term hit every single day, that can spill over into your health and fitness. That can spill over into your relationship. That can spill over into your career and your business. When you don't want to take the short-term hit, when you don't want to take the easy path of just removing the craving, removing the discomfort, removing the ill feeling, then that spills over into other areas. There is no doubt about it. So that's the first way that stopping drinking rewires your brain, is you remove an element of short-term gratification. Now, the second way that stopping drinking rewires your brain is your natural confidence and your natural courage come back. Now, a lot of us buy into the illusion that alcohol somehow gives us confidence. It somehow helps us in social events. It somehow gives us courage and means that we can step up. But really, is that true? Do we really think that a drug can actually give us true confidence? In my own experience, what I found is that every time I took a sip of a drink, my confidence didn't increase. I'm doing something that is destructive to myself. I know what I'm doing. I know when I drink a drink that I don't really want to be doing it. So to say that this drink is somehow giving me confidence, giving me courage, I was being delusional. Of course it doesn't give me confidence. Of course it doesn't give me courage. In fact, every single day that I took a drink, it was another hit to my confidence, again and again and again. And when you stop drinking, this comes back. The natural confidence, the natural courage, that inner you can shine again. And that is exciting because that means that you can then put that out into the world, in your business, in your career, as a leader, as a member of a family, as a father, as a mother. You can put out that real natural you again, that real core you. And this is massive. This just changes so much. Like, there is no way that I would be showing up on YouTube and just putting this stuff out there if I was drinking. There is no way in hell. Despite, sure, I make videos about stopping drinking, but in anything, there was no way that I would be doing this if I was still drinking because I didn't have real confidence. I had this false sense of bravado for a few minutes of a night that just wasn't real confidence. And this idea that alcohol is somehow helping in this area, it's just complete nonsense. When you remove alcohol, the confidence comes back, the courage comes back. You start to step up in ways that you'll have just never stepped up before. And that's exciting. Now, the fourth thing that I want to talk about is presence. Now, when you remove alcohol, you just become more present. When you're drunk and not with it, you're not really present. You're not really in the moment. So that means that when you're with business associates, when you're with friends, when you're with work colleagues, and when you're with your family and your loved ones, well, when we're drinking, we're not really there. We're not really in the here and now. Our minds are pinballing around. We're just not there. But when you stop drinking, you become more present, which, again, like I keep saying, all of these little benefits, they spill into every area of your life. When you're more present, you're calmer, you're happier, you're more peaceful. You can connect better. You can connect with your wife. You can connect with your husband. You can connect with your kids. You can connect with the people that matter to you on a different level because you're in the moment. You're able to ask questions. You're able to listen more. And you're at peace. Not only are you at peace with that person, but you're at peace with yourself because you're in the here and now. Now, I'm not saying that when you stop drinking that all of a sudden you're going to become some spiritual guru that's, never has a mistake and never gets anxiety and never gets depression. Sure, these things are a part of life for a lot of people. But the difference is night and day. The difference of being a non-drinker and how you're going to feel spiritually and how you're going to feel more connected, it's incredible. And there's no doubt in my mind that being more present to the moment improves every single area of your life. There is no doubt about it. Now, the fifth point that I want to make is that the way that stopping drinking rewires your brain for success is that you become addicted to long-term gratification. Now, hear me out. Now, when we drink, we're in this cycle of short-term gratification, as I just mentioned. And what happens is when we remove alcohol, well, we realize that there's no longer this block. There's no longer this thing that's kind of stopping us from going towards what we really want. And in my personal experience, this gets exciting, right? The first month, I'm getting into things. But because I knew with certainty that this was it was a done deal this time that I stopped drinking, I'm going all in, I'm going forward, I'm moving on with my life. I knew that I could set bigger goals. And I knew that I could start working on things that would take a long time until I saw a result. So for example, before I started this YouTube channel, before I started SoberClear, I was working on another YouTube channel. I was learning this skill. And at first, there wasn't any traction, but I knew that this skill that I was learning was going to carry me through for a very long time. So I was just going through the motions and, not really getting any traction on this other channel that I run for this company. But eventually it took off. But I was willing to do the work for a long time before we saw any kind of results. And because you know that you're not going to self-sabotage, because you know that in 6 months' time, you're not just going to go on some crazy binge and some crazy relapse, because you've got this certainty that you're all in, you become addicted to long-term gratification. And that just means that results in life they just go to a different level. I mean, we've really got a choice every day, and we can take the short-term gratification route, right? We can eat the bad food. We can watch Netflix instead of reading a book. We can skip the meditation, We can chill out instead of going to the gym. Or we can take the hard route in the short term that get us results on a different level over the long term, right? We can choose to read. We can choose to train. We can choose to eat the healthy meal. We can choose to tell our partner that we love them. And when we take this path, the results are just night and day, but they don't show up straight away. So when you remove alcohol, you end up making these decisions that are going to be available. The results are going to be there in a few months' time. They're not going to be there straight away. But because you know that you're not going to self-sabotage, the work that you're putting in the short term will pay off in the long term. So when you stop drinking, like I said, it becomes a game of long-term gratification instead. Now, the next way that stopping drinking rewires your brain for success is you get this new sense of clarity. Now, I know that I speak about this a lot on the channel, and at this point, I kind of take it for granted now. But when you drink, the clarity isn't really there. You have this fog. It's like you go through life and you can't see things clearly. You don't see the vision. You don't see what you're going towards. But when you remove the alcohol, it clears. And I'm not saying it's going to clear straight away. Through working with people in the Sober Clear program, I know that some people may take a few weeks until that clarity comes. It might even take a month. For some people, it's going to be instant. Within a couple of days, they're like, whoa, I just see things differently now. For other people, that takes a bit of time. But you start to see clearer. You start to be able to develop these mental pictures that you might have not had for many years. New dreams may come up to you. I remember there was one guy in the program, and one of his dreams was to be an author, and he'd had this dream for a long time. But then when he stopped drinking, the dream came back and he was able to work towards it. And whilst you may be successful already, whilst you may have got results in your personal life already despite the alcohol, well, when you remove it, the mental clarity that comes just means that you can take things to another level. And this just gets better and better over time. The longer that you don't drink for, the more clarity you get, the more you can answer these big questions like, what do I really want? What really makes me happy? What am I moving towards? What's the vision? The longer that you don't drink, the clearer things get. And finally, guys, the last thing that I want to talk about is emotional stability. Now, when I drank, there were many times that I'd just flip out. And it didn't make a difference if I was alone or with other people. I'd have these emotional, I don't know what you'd even call it, but outbursts, right? I'd get really angry, or I'd get really sad, or I'd get really upset, or I'd get really annoyed. And the stability that comes from being a non-drinker, you feel so much more grounded. You may feel these emotions come on, but you have more awareness. You're able to kind of not just immediately follow that emotion and outburst. Because that happened to me a lot. And the stability that comes, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And this, again, like I keep saying, it spills over into other areas of your life. You know, if you have outbursts in your business and then you don't, then, well, people are going to see that you're more calm, you're more relaxed. If the same thing happens in your family and you get these outbursts around family and loved ones, then people are going to feel better around you. And really, when you remove alcohol, the emotional stability that you feel is also good for you, because you don't feel the roller coaster of these different emotions and you don't feel this up and down feeling. And like I said, for the 10th time, this spills over into every area of your life. Anyway, guys, if you do want my help stopping drinking, make sure to click the link in the description to learn more about the Sober Clear program and the Sober Clear method. Thanks a lot.